Journey Cowart was born on January the 10th, 2013, to Brandy Boyd and Blake Cowart. Authorities came into contact with the family when Journey's father, Blake, was reported missing after he stopped taking seizure medication that was needed for a brain injury. Brandy, who was Blake's live-in girlfriend, told authorities that he suffered short-term memory loss, confusion, and seizures, and said she feared he'd been taking drugs. And in April 2013, Blake died. This was more than a month after he was reported missing. His body was found by a fisherman in the river, which was just 15 yards from his home. Now in August 2013, Brandy met Austin Payne, and the two started dating and moved into an apartment together with Journey. Multiple witnesses testified to observing bruises on Journey in the months leading up to her death. 4 witnesses testified that in late 2013 they observed a bruise on Journey's forehead, and that Brandy's explanation for the bruise was that Journey her head on the railing of her crib. A babysitter testified that she saw a bruise on Journey's left cheek that looked like a handprint in November 2013. A friend testified that at some point she saw a bruise on Journey's ear, which Brandy said had resulted from Journey falling when she pulled up between the coffee table and the wall. And the friend suggested taking Journey to urgent care, but was told by Brandy that it was unnecessary. A neighbor testified that shortly before Journey died, he saw her face with bruises on her neck, face, and arms. Now on January the 13th, 2014, a week before Journey died, Brandy asked Melody Hunt, who was Blake's mother, to watch Journey, who was sick at the time. Hunt noticed bruises on Journey's back and took pictures. Hunt testified that she took the pictures to keep as a record, and that she was afraid because she did not know why Journey was so bruised. Hunt shared the pictures only with her husband and daughter, and she told her husband that she was going to call the police if Journey had a new bruise later in the week. Now, Brandy's mother and stepfather also testified when they took care of Journey on January the 17th. They said she had a bruised and swollen ear, which Brandy explained was the result of a fall. That same day, Hunt texted Brandy to confirm that Journey's birthday party would take place the following day. The party was originally scheduled for January the 10th, the day of Journey's first birthday. It was rescheduled to the 18th because, according to Brandy, Journey was not feeling well. However, on January the 18th, Austin, Brandy, and Journey did not show up to the Hunt's house. And when Hunt texted Brandy to find out where they were, she responded that they were at the doctor's office because Journey was sick with croup. This is a disease that causes swelling in the airways and problems breathing. However, medical records showed that Journey never visited her pediatrician at the Floyd County Urgent Care in January 2014. Hunt texted Brandy multiple times over the following days and did not get a response. Now, a neighbor testified that on January the 21st, Austin and Brandy banged on his door with Journey in Austin's arms and asked him to drive them to the hospital because Journey appeared to have stopped breathing. The neighbor agreed and testified that Journey did not look well and that she was pink and stiff. Journey was pronounced dead at 10:27 p.m. An autopsy report stated that injuries to Journey's head and abdomen were each sufficient on their own to cause her death. The head injuries included a fractured skull, multiple areas of internal bleeding, and 4 bruises on the exterior of her scalp. The injuries to Journey's abdomen included a torn stomach and liver, a stomach, multiple fractured ribs, and several external bruises. The medical examiner testified that the injuries to her head and abdomen were caused by direct force and that CPR could not have caused her abdominal injuries. In addition to the fatal injuries to her head and abdomen, the autopsy revealed a fractured arm, a fractured leg, a prolapsed and numerous bruises all over her body. And the mother claimed this is because of a coffee table fall? Lying rat. The medical examiner dated the fractured arm as 1 to 2 weeks old and the fractured leg as 1 to 6 weeks old at the time of the death. The examiner said that a shearing force, such as someone grabbing and shaking a person's arm or leg, caused the fractures to her arm and leg. The medical examiner was unable to date the injury to Journey's rectum, but testified that it was caused by pressure inside her abdomen from her abdominal injuries. She concluded that Journey's death was a homicide caused by injuries for which there was no plausible explanation nor historical account to suggest an accidental injury. On the day after she died, investigators with the Bartow County Sheriff's Office searched Austin and Brandy's apartment. Among other things, investigators discovered a bloody bath towel, a bloody baby outfit, and a bloody baby pillow. That same day, investigators interviewed Austin and Brandy. Now, the investigators said that Austin and Brandy told them the following information about Journey. Austin said that on January the 21st, Journey woke up around 9 a.m. and he fed her. Brandy said that an hour later, she attempted to feed Journey, but she refused to eat. Then, they both said that they laid Journey down for a nap. They both told investigators that they woke her up from her nap in the early afternoon and gave her a bath before laying her down for another nap. They both said that at some point they got her up from her nap and fed her formula because there was no milk in the house. Austin stated that he later discovered that Journey had spit up some of her formula after having drunk half the bottle, that the formula smelled bad and that he thought it was bad milk. Brandy also indicated that she thought Journey had ingested bad milk and said that Journey had a tight stomach and did not seem to be feeling well. Both Austin and Brady said that at 5:30 they called Austin's sister, a nurse, to tell her that Journey was throwing up and to get her advice. They both said that later Brandy's stepfather dropped off some milk at the apartment. They said that Journey then started eating and drinking milk. They both stated that they put Journey to sleep in her crib. Austin said that he heard Journey breathing rapidly, so he got her out of her crib and put her in his bed with him and laid on his chest. Austin and Brandy said they both fell asleep in bed and woke up to find Journey had stopped breathing. Austin gave her CPR even though he did not know how to do it. Then they called 911, ran upstairs, went back downstairs and went to the neighbor's door and started beating on it to get some help. And again, that old chestnut, huh? The child fell asleep, we woke up, the child isn't waking up randomly, we don't know what happened. Huh? You see, investigators testified that when asked about Journey's previous injuries, Austin and Brandy told them that Journey injured her ear. Brandy explained that 4 or 5 days prior to the death, Journey struck her ears on the coffee table, causing a bad cut. She said that she took Journey to urgent care, but she did not sign in as the wait was too long. According to Brandy, a nurse indicated that the cut on her ear would be fine. Austin said that he bit Journey's shoulder to try to wake her up when she was not breathing. Huh? What? And accidentally struck her head on the door leading into the emergency room. You clumsy bastard. Brandy stated that Journey did not go to the doctor regularly, as Journey had never fallen, broken a bone, gotten cut, or been injured, but that she'd been to the hospital for a bad cough when she was 1 month old. Now, in the trial, the jury was further authorized to conclude that Austin was at least party to the crimes, based on Austin and Brandy's inability to explain Journey's extensive injuries. Both of their statements failed to explain how Journey could have received such extensive injuries to her head, abdomen, arm, and leg while in their care. And the jury was entitled to disbelieve Austin's account and conclude that he was trying to cover up his participation in the crimes. You see, in a pre-trial hearing, the state moved to admit evidence of Brandy's drug use for the purpose of proving Brandy's motive. The evidence included a witness who would testify that during Journey's life, Brandy often used meth, unprescribed Xanax, and marijuana, and that she would get people away so she could do drugs. The state argued that the evidence was admissible to show motive insofar as Journey got in the way of her drug use, and Brandy essentially favored using drugs over taking care of her child. But Brandy renewed her objection to evidence of her drug use. In response, the trial court appeared to reverse course on its prior ruling, directing the state to not mention the drug use in its opening statement and to make it a detailed proffer before any witnesses testified to the drug use. The state did not make such a proffer, and during the state's case, the trial court sustained several objections when witnesses referenced Brandy's drug use. In fact, the trial counsel explained that there was absolutely no evidence that Austin did anything with Journey other than care for her, and that he was the only one who seemed to care for her. They said that the only way we would be able to show this in this trial was to show the position of his loving concern for the baby versus the callousness of Brandy. No, dumbass. How else do you explain the bruises, the broken bones, the torn liver, etc., etc., etc.? So, a Bartow County grand jury charged Austin and Brandy in a 22-count indictment. Austin and Brandy were charged with 4 counts of malice murder, 6 counts of felony murder, 7 counts of cruelty to children in the first degree, 3 counts of aggravated battery, and 1 count of battery. Austin was also separately charged with 1 additional count of cruelty to children in the first degree. At a jury trial held from May the 4th through May the 13th, the jury found Austin and Brandy guilty of felony murder, cruelty to children in the first degree, and aggravated battery. In July, the court sentenced Austin and Brandy to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Journey's funeral was held at the church at Liberty Square in Cartersville. Following the service, Journey's paternal grandparents, Melody and Alan Hunt, said they were still stunned at the child's death. They said, "We can't wrap our minds around that someone did this to a baby. It's supposed to be your natural instinct as a mother to protect your child." In fact, after their son was found dead, remember Blake, they said that they always had to fight to see their grandchild every month. Sometimes they saw bruises. What a disgraceful, callous story. Life in prison is the least they deserve. Now I'm going to tell you another story. You see, I do this because I love children, but how many of you know the case of Athena Angeles? You see, more than a month before her death, a pediatrician had reported that Athena had been injured, having bruises on her face. The Department of Families and Children took no action to help the 3-year-old girl. Records would show that this family had been visited many times by the child welfare workers. And this story I'm about to tell you took place in Connecticut. Now on October the 18th, 2011, before the doctor had filed a complaint, a visit was made to the child's home where it was noted that she had 2 black eyes and her face was so swollen that she could not open her eyes. The social worker suggested that Rosa, which is the mother, to take her daughter to the clinic, which she did. This resulted in the doctor calling the child services. Their records was information about that visit. It stated that Rosa had claimed that she was watching the children play in their room and that Athena had tripped over a toy and struck her nose on the bed railing. Rosa said that Athena got right up and continued to play and she was not crying at all. In October, the caseworker had talked to the Department for Children, saying that she was concerned with the lack of supervision of the children in the home and said that Rosa had changed her story about what had happened to her daughter. As it usually does, that turned out to be a lie, and it was later found out that Rosa was covering up for her boyfriend. His name was Freddie Alexander Chingo Riz. He was 32 at the time. Freddie would later admit that while Rosa was at work one day, he was alone with the children. During dinner, Athena refused to eat. Freddie stated that he lost his patience with Athena and brought her into his bedroom. He then used his hand on Athena in the forehead at the bridge of her nose with his and left her in the bedroom. Athena was back in the hospital on November 22nd, where she was treated for cuts on her head that required staples. Wow, staples. Riz, you classless bastard. Less than 24 hours later, Athena was once again brought to the hospital showing signs of trauma, bruising on her abdomen and internal bleeding. Freddie had again attacked Athena in the stomach and ribs many times. Freddie was arrested and charged with manslaughter. At the time of his arrest, Freddie also admitted to abusing Athena. On another occasion, which sent her to the hospital with a cut on her head, and then once again on the day of her death. Rosa was also arrested and charged with manslaughter. Now in December of 2011, a crowd of more than 300 people, family, friends and strangers gathered for a candlelit vigil to honor Athena. Freddie himself pled guilty to first-degree manslaughter, first-degree assault, and a risk of injury to a minor. The pleas of assault and risk of injury, both of which applied to the 2-year-old, were made under the Alford Doctrine, meaning Freddie does not agree with the prosecution's account of what he did to her, but admits enough evidence exists to likely convict him. Athena was about 3 foot tall and weighed 32 pounds. The child died of blunt traumatic chest and abdominal injuries. Doctors found numerous bruises all over her body, some old, others fresh. She also had broken ribs. Internally, Athena had about 1.5 quart of blood in her abdomen, 2 lacerations to her liver, and kidney injuries. Now questioned by police, Freddie at first denied causing the injuries. He told a story that he and Rosa were watching TV when they heard a scream from the girls in the living room and found Athena wasn't breathing. And it wasn't until the 3rd time he was questioned did Freddie admit abusing Athena. He said in fact Rosa was at work and he was alone with the children. Upset that Athena was not eating, he grabbed her by the arm and the ribs. 5 minutes later, he saw she was on the floor face up, having trouble breathing. In the courtroom, Freddie listened silently, except to answer questions about why he was giving up his right to a trial. His lawyer said there's an extremely large likelihood he would be convicted, hence his plea. Now, the father of Athena, his name was Hugo Angeles. He now has custody of the other surviving girl. He was attempting to sue the Department of Children and Families on behalf of both girls for failing to rescue them despite many signs they were being abused. The State Office of the Claims Commissioner, which must approve requests to sue the state, was considering the claim. Hugo also sued on behalf of Athena's estate, the doctors and nurses who examined her, and the firms they work for. The lawsuit alleges that Athena's untimely death was a direct result of their negligence. The wrongful death suit comes nearly 4 years after Athena's father started to pursue legal action. Connecticut, like other states and the federal government, has sovereign immunity and can't be sued in court without its consent. In Athena's case, her father filed claims with the Office of the Claims Commissioner asking for permission to sue the state. He asked for $20 million in damages. In 2015, Hugo's attorney, Robert Reardon, wrote a letter to the state's senator. He said this tragedy occurred over 3 years ago and the evidence before the Claims Commissioner is overwhelming that the Department of Children and Families was negligent. He wrote that the family has waited long enough to be granted their basic due process rights to have their case heard in a court of law. Any further delay would be a grave disservice to his family. And to conclude on this story, Freddie was sentenced to 29 years in prison. As for Athena's mother, Rosa, she pled guilty to reduced charges of risk of injury to a child and 2nd degree making a false statement. An original charge of manslaughter was dropped as part of her plea deal. She was sentenced to 6 years. 6 years? I've slept longer than 6 years. I told you, I do this because I love children. May all these adults be cursed for the rest of their life. Thank you for watching.